naka def
yow foo joxee
mbaa defu da suma tool balaa wari woon
man de man faa tëhi man
yaa ngi toog di daa dégg son
man faa tëhi di man suma tool bi fa booy baaxatul
xanaa doo dee use engrais fertilizer
man loolu yow wuti ko foofu faa tëhi dem ca dépôt ba dafa wuti fa sori
gis nga mbayum léegi boo amul fertilizer du baax de engrais kenn jëndeetu ko ci def
boo ko jëlee ci dépôt foo koy amee
kay yaa ngi doog a ñëw xam nga Reliance banque bi ñuy wax Reliance
faa koy dégg waaw
kay gis nga boo demee Reliance ci boppam foofu ngay fayee saako yi nga bëgg nu mu toll nga fay ba pare ñu jox la sa receipt gis nga receipt boobu ñu lay jox moom ngay yóbbu nag ca dépôt ba
kon fu ne ko dem ci dépôt ba te yóbbu la kay doo ko am
déedéet
fu ne su ma jógoon su ma xaalis ba dem ci dépôt ba du ma am
déedéet doo am foog nga dem Reliance fay ba pare
waaw
soo ko dem nag ak sa receipt ca dépôt ba waa Gambia Granite Corporation lii la ñu wax
yow fi ne fa nga jëm ni la
waaw fa laay dem bi
kon kay ni jàmm jox la nga jëndaaleel ma ay yow ma de fi di saako doon yàgg te duma ko xam
maa la ko wax de
boo xàggee jëndaaleel ma
mbokk yi nii lañ ko bëggee waa Gambia Granite Corporation ñu ne saako engrais 700 dalasi dong lay jar muy juróom-ñaar téeméeri dalasi rek yomb na lool daw leen Reliance bu leen gën a jege si PMS tam dañuy jaay comme ni ko Reliance di jaayee boo fa demee dinañ la jaay te engrais bii pour réew mi kese la bëgguñ mu génn réew mi.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulaling. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gash, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gash Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
It's a warm welcome here in our studio in Serakunda. This is Star TV News with your presenter, Manager Fadera. In the headlines tonight, state of public emergency extends to 7 days according to a press release sent to Star TV. President Barrow is enthusiastic and committed to the armed forces, CDS says. GCCI gives $50,000 to Gambian artists. The grade 9 students have challenges in using the face mask. The IGP inaugurates the Busumbala police station. On the international scene, Ethiopia deploys military after more than 80 killed in protest. Brazil deploys army to help protect indigenous people. Wales keeps strict lockdown measures as England reopens. Well, those were the headlines, and now the news in details. In a press release sent to Star TV, His Excellency President Adama Barrow, in consultation with the Ministerial Subcommittee on COVID-19 and based on the advice given by the Health Experts Committee of the Ministry of Health, has decided to extend the state of public emergency in the Gambia. In exercise of the powers conferred on him by Section 34(6) of the 1997 Constitution, President Barrow has declared that the state of public emergency continues to exist in the whole whole country for 7 days, effective 1st July 2020. The public is also informed that the COVID-19 emergency regulations issued under the Emergency Powers Act will continue to apply during the period of the state of public emergency. Meanwhile, the public is reminded that COVID-19 is real as the number of cases recorded in the country is on the increase. The public is also advised to take all precautionary measures to protect themselves and prevent infecting others. The government gives assurances that all efforts are being made to prevent and contain the coronavirus from spreading further. As it continues to monitor developments within the ECOWAS region, the release ends. The Chief of Defense Staff, CDS Major General Yakuba Idrame, has said that the Commander-in-Chief, President Adama Barrow, is very much passionate and committed to the cause of the Gambia Armed Forces. Dado Cham has more on that story.
CDS Drame was at the State House yesterday to brief the President on the outcome of a 2-week tour of military installations across the country. The tour propelled high levels of engagements with governors, key stakeholders and community leaders across the country.
And as usual, he's taking ownership of the armed forces once again. And he's giving all his assurances to say he would stand by the armed forces in our collective pursuit to bring about the much necessary peace and tranquility in this country. In so doing, of course, there is a need to meet some of the logistic support, which is more than willing to support the armed forces in moving forward.
The CDS said that President Barrow expressed willingness to support the armed forces and is optimistic that the future of the Gambia Armed Forces is very bright. During the tour, the CDS delegation held close consultations with the troops and their command to have first-hand knowledge on the working and living conditions of the troops and the command.
There was this constructive engagement between the command and serving members of the armed forces. It was an open discussions. In other words, trying to know their living and working conditions. Equally use that moment to share with them policy initiatives and directives. In other words, what is my aspirations in regards how do we move the armed forces forward.
CDS Drame explained that these aspirations, no matter what they are, should be strictly in line with how to organize and restructure the armed forces to meet the expectations of the Commander-in-Chief, every Gambian and development partners. CDS Drame described the 2-week tour, which ended at the State Guards Battalion in Banjul, as a resounding success. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Dado Chan.
The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry had on Wednesday given 50,000 dalasis that was shared amongst some Gambian artists through the National Center for Arts and Culture in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Mariama Dem tells us more.
The COVID-19 pandemic has affected all sectors in the Gambia, and the artistic industry is not an exception. Gambian artists have been seriously hit by the pandemic, as performance venues have been closed and no entertainment program can happen during the anti-COVID-19 emergency measures. This has severely affected writers, dramatists, filmmakers, the music scene, dance groups, cinemas, bookshops, performance venues, and equipment hirers. The National Center for Arts and Culture in May wrote to GCCI requesting support for Gambian artists during this hard moment. However, GCCI had replied by giving $50,000 to some Gambian artists. Speaking during the presentation, Mr. Hasum Sise, Director General of the National Center for Arts and Culture, said that the amount is helpful and it expresses the fact that NCAC and its ministry has the interests of artists in mind always, and will continue to pursue all other means to ensure that the weight imposed on Gambian artists by COVID-19 is eased.
I use that 50,000 to give like a token support to the artists. You know, the amount may be small, but it symbolizes, our solidarity, with the artists during these trying times. And, we and our ministry are working very hard to ensure that, artists will benefit from any form of support, which other sectors, will benefit from.
Mr. Sise further explained the process they underwent to get financial support from GCCI.
Yes, National Center for Arts and Culture wrote to GCCI in May because they were raising funds through a telethon. And when we read that in the papers, we said we approached them so that they can extend the kind of support they are giving to the hospitals, and to the health workers and to other institutions, to the artists in the community also, because we deserve it. As artists, we deserve it.
He also said that there are lots of artists in the Gambia, but the NCAC was able to target only 10 people, and he explained the reason it was limited.
Well, in fact, we have thousands of artists in the Gambia, but we were only able to target 10. And the criteria we use, we explain. Some are registered with us. Some had written to us, requesting for support also. Okay, so those are some of the criteria, that we have used. But our intention is to support every artist in this country because they all deserve it. But for now, this is just like a small start. Yes.
A Gambian artist by the name Big Fa was part of the beneficiaries. Upon receiving the token, he showed appreciation and thanked GCCI for the amusing gesture. However, he expressed delay on the side of the President and Minister of Arts and Culture by saying that the pledge could have been made since the declaration of the first state of public emergency by the government. He declared that Gambian artists are severely affected during this lockdown because all their plans have been ruined.
First of all, I would say thank you to GCCI for this big move they do. It's a big move though, but we were expecting this from the minister himself or the president to do this a long time ago, because we the artists in the Gambia, we're suffering right now because we having this lockdown for so long and still we can't have anything from nowhere, because with the lockdown you cannot travel, you cannot make any concert, you cannot make any show. So I think all the support we need it has to come from the government, and the government, we were expecting them to do this move since long time ago. We were asking for this support, we were asking for this, because we need to move, we need to record, we need to do our videos, we need to promote ourselves, or else we go and, start doing carpentry, like welding, because we see the other countries that their government are giving them money to support them, during this COVID-19, but in the Gambia, no. Until today, they give us like $5,000. I don't say it's not good, but we need more.
The beneficiaries included writers, artists, dramatists, filmmakers, and folklorists. Each was given $5,000 to support themselves with. Mariama Dem, reporting for Star TV News.
Star TV went to some schools to see how they are operating, considering the social distancing and self-protective measures put in place. Schools had been closed for almost 3 months in an attempt to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now that it's open to the grade 9 students, the school authorities are implementing all the measures put in place, but some of the students have difficulty wearing the mask for a long time due to the nature of the mask. Yamudau Koka has the rest of the story.
In an interview with Mr. Bangali, the principal of Greater Banjul Upper Basis School, he shed light on the preventive measures they are taking in order to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. When students enter into the school premises, we make sure that they wash their hands with soap and water or hand sanitizer. We provide each student with a face mask and check their temperature. We make sure that students maintain a 1 meter distance by allocating each child a desk to maintain their safety, said Mr. Kante. He proceeded and said that concerned parents visit the school to check on their children.
Yeah, most concerned parents are coming frequently to ask the safety of their kids. As I'm telling you, those are the things that we'll tell them, that there are safety precautions that we are embarking on, and giving the assurance that their child are safe in the school here. Because we will make sure that all those precautions are taken into full force.
Mr. Bakari Tamba, an arts and craft teacher of the school, also confirms that they observe the social distancing cautiously, especially during assembly. He said that parents have a big role to play in the fight against the spread of the coronavirus.
I think parents has a big role to play in the fight against COVID-19. Big role in the sense that, as I told you earlier on, that sensitization should start at home. Simply because when they come initially, in fact, before we went for this break, I remember that we summoned them and spoke to them about this corona. But the reply is, no, corona is in the West. we don't have corona. And this is what is happening in town. You ask some of the people will tell you there is no corona in the Gambia. It's just how to call it, a propaganda, a sort of, and which is a very, very bad experience. And these experiences went across even among the students. So that is a big problem. And parents has this role to play to resensitize them. Tell them, hey, before we don't understand it that way, but I think what they call corona is existing.
Lala Jata, the assistant head girl of the Greater Banjul Upper Basic School, vouched that some of her colleagues face difficulties using the face masks for a long period.
Maybe the face mask is very dark. Hadn't we have a light one because others are with asthma patient. The others are asthmatic. So this face mask will affect them. Hadn't we they have the light one, the other one that the doctors are using, that one will be helpful.
Star TV proceeded to St. Teresa's Upper Basic School to know how the teachers and students are coping with the COVID-19 health regulations. Mr. Samuel Jaju, the vice principal of the school, had this to say.
Anyway, as for St. Teresa's, we try to see that we've able to go on those measures because like we have our dishwasher and basins that we are using with Dettol and so on for the students to be washing their hands every day before they are in and before they leave the school. And also we have these 2 thermometers that are taking their temperature, and each child knows his or her own temperature as he comes into school. Yeah, and then also the same thing with the teachers. And if you go around the school campus anywhere, you find out there are buckets everywhere so that they will also be to clean their faces. And all the students were supplied with masks, face masks, so that they can protect themselves as long as they go on.
Since the outbreak of the coronavirus in the Gambia, the government has put many measures in place to prevent the rapid spread of the virus in the country. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Yamunda Koka.
The Inspector General of Police on Thursday presided over the inaugural ceremony of the Busumbala Police Station. This newly inaugurated police station is meant to mitigate crimes within Busumbala and its surrounding communities. Modo Elbaji was there and he now reports.
According to the natives of Busumbala, the availability of a police station in their community will help in addressing some of the crimes that are allegedly committed by the natives and the commuters during political activities within the West Coast region. This station was inaugurated based on the request of the natives of Busumbala. The building was a community-owned building which was refurbished by the Gambia Police Force. During an interview with the Inspector General of Police, Alhaji Momad Job called on the natives of Busumbala to embrace community policing in order to mitigate the issue of reporting minor cases to the police station. He added that they have stations within the country, but most of these stations are occupied by police on a rental base. Commissioner Job outlined how this police station will help the people of Busumbala.
Public support from all over the country. Just on Monday, the people of Kiang came to my office and also offered to give the police a police station built in Kiang. And after the construction of the police station, they also intend to provide a vehicle for the police. And I remember 1 week ago, somebody from URR, however the person does not want to be named, but a prominent personality in the URR also responded by building a modern regional police headquarters. And not only that, but I also have support from the people of Kawul who are also who also responded by building a police station. And hopefully by the end of this month, or before the end of this month, that police station will also be open. And again, of course, by tomorrow, I'm also heading to Jabakunda, where a similar project is also going to be open for the Gambia Police Force. This came as a result of partnership we have with the community, and it is really very, very, very encouraging. So once again, the media houses from all over.
Why now? Why are we having police station now?
Well, I think we had police stations all over, but then most of the police stations we had were on red. And nowadays, we are getting the support from the community who are coming up, offering services, assistance to make sure that structures are built.
How will this help your institution in coping with the rate of crime consistently?
Yes, I know this is going to help a lot. Looking at the catchment areas covered by Busumbala, getting a police station will make them accessible in terms of crime response. In the past, whenever they have complaints, they go to Yundum Banjulinding, sometimes they go to Bikabal, sometimes they go to Farato, which is, of course, a distance travel. And now that they have got the police stations at their doorsteps, this will make life very easy.
The National Assembly member for Busumbala Ward, Sekuba Jaju, set light on the motive behind the establishment of a police station in his ward.
The motivation is to secure Busumbala, to clean ourselves from the allegations leveled against Busumbala, that Busumbala people are aggressive and there's always attack here. The other thing is we want to, upgrade the size of Busumbala and the amenities in Busumbala. Because Busumbala, if you look at the size and the population, it has a quality of a town. But you cannot just only look at those ones. You have to look at the amenities in the community, like schools, hospitals, and the like. So police station is also one part of it. Busumbala here, there are so many crimes. So we believe that when we have this police station here, those crimes will be minimal. Sure.
The chairman of the Busumbala Village Committee, Mfansu Jata, expressed joy on the establishment of this police station in their community. He also thanked the government and the Inspector General of Police.
This is a common and common for that matter. It's a very substantially very large village, 7 kilometers length. So you can imagine with this youth. So we definitely have a lot of problems with security. And also, you must have had several incidents that have happened here regarding some partially political, because like a certain party would just come and say Busumbala being where it is, how it is, they would just come and fall on us and then give some other. So we have a feeling that this time now we have witnesses. People will be around to find out. The police will be here to see who has troubled who. But there are so many incidents here. Like one block from here, you remember that Sarahule case where a vehicle was burnt to ashes by the youth. That's also one component. Can you imagine if this police station were here, this burning would not have happened. So that's it. We are very happy that we have this police station here, and we hope that security will be maintained, inshallah.
Is enhancing efforts in combating crime rates in the country. However, the Inspector General of Police will be inaugurating 2 other police stations, while he has already laid a foundation stone for a regional police headquarters in Basse. Reporting for Star TV, I am Modu Elbaji.
Well, those were the local news. We will be back with the international news. Please stay tuned.
bar fenkil nañ jaxal jang nga fem fi jabu ka bete nga fem fi jabu ka bete nga fem fi ko jaxal dafa malo mekel ñaati le
ne jambando soto angare ñing ne o soto yake jang ila soto fengo fam be yiru wala
je jambando ha wato alhamdulillah sa jambando mo so la ñaadi le
sañi moli abla le kata fan kata depo ñinto hani ni futata je depo to sañi bu ka wafi de ka kodo ta mo bulu ka boto di la wo bo sañi wo botale sañi mimbe kering wolem ñinti ko reliance ibita wolto ye kodo jo reliance e ka risitol dira ba risito ñi ngaku matal de wo risito ñi ni adila e ka wole samba depo ñintu ne risito di yela jambando soto
comme ngi yek mo fu ñami ngamoyle nim fana bodo jang ko tanke mbira jambando sanna
GGC wolem Gambia Groundnut Corporation wolle be mararen ñi jambando la kola ando ila ñi jang ngalo ne ñi jambando ni yake jang ifam ba fa la ñela
tumondo bar be jambando xel fa nga jibe nim bodo ya mbita wolto mbita sekro direct nim ta rek be jambando sanna oto mbaɗigol ñewode ñul naadal kana mol dahandi GGC ka jambando data la mole fadala ci ceme worwula he ñomu alten to baldi mbati woto nimboru bayta ngata na jambando la ko do jo woto jang msan sa mbe wutule ngata fo reliance nganna jambando la ko do jo jeto ngana risito ta ngata depo wala ngaji be CPMS katu nyindu la fulo de min suriyata na rek nin tara ngajo je benna jambando sotlag al nimbara bak ala baraka. Hey, alhamdulillah nyomu ala tan dubal moro nyina metu abena no sana.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jeja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulaling. We are also producers of Jeja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gosh, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gosh Group also provides the best security company, Gosh Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gosh Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gosh on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gosh Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.goshglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gosh.
Welcome back after that short commercial break, and we now look at the news beyond our borders. Ethiopia deploys military after more than 80 killed in protest. Ethiopia's military has been deployed to the capital Addis Ababa on the second day of unrest triggered by the murder of a popular singer activist. Hakullah Hudessa was a symbol for his Oromo ethnic group, and his songs were the soundtrack to the protests that propelled Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed into power. More than 80 people have been killed during protests following Hakullah's death on Monday. Al Jazeera's Sarod Bellis reports.
People gathered in Addis Ababa to escort the casket of popular musician Hachalu Hundessa, who was shot dead on Monday. This procession marked the beginning of violence that has left dozens dead. Hachalu was an icon for Ethiopia's biggest ethnic group, the Oromo. His music was a soundtrack to protests that propelled Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed into office in 2018.
Hachalu was a role model for the struggle for democracy, human rights, freedom and justice. He was treacherously murdered by some external and internal elements who have been planning for a while now to start a strife and chaos among our people.
His killing has spurred angry protests, which led to the government shutting down the internet on Tuesday. There is now little evidence of what is happening inside Ethiopia. There are unconfirmed reports of gunshots and explosions in the capital, while the military has been deployed in response to armed gangs allegedly roaming Addis Ababa. Prime Minister Abiy has accused foreign forces of assassinating the singer in an attempt to destabilise the country. He alluded to Egypt and Sudan, which is in dispute with Ethiopia over the opening of Africa's largest hydroelectric dam.
As the UN Security Council was meeting to discuss the Renaissance Dam crisis, this assassination crime took place. It's a crime in which an external force has participated and carried it out using a local force.
Others argue it's unlikely another country orchestrated Hachalu's killing. Ethnic tensions have grown in recent years, with the Oromo complaining of marginalisation, despite them being the biggest of Ethiopia's 80 ethnic groups and having Abiy, a fellow Oromo, as Prime Minister. Hachalu and other Oromos had become more critical of Abiy in recent months.
Well, one of the big questions is who actually killed the musician. This is the match that touched everything off, and I think what you're seeing here is a great deal of ethnic unrest, which has been touched off by this incident.
Human Rights Watch has accused the government of making a volatile situation worse after some of Abiy's political opponents were arrested, including media tycoon Jawar Mohammed. Ethiopians now fear Hachalu's funeral in his hometown of Ambo on Thursday may result in more violence. Charlotte Bellis, Al Jazeera.
Well, Ayanta Ayano is part of the Oromo community. She says the government needs to give her people space to mourn in peace.
So far, the government's handling of this situation has really exasperated the situation. Instead of giving people the space to mourn, the government has shut down the internet. It's arresting people as we speak, and it's sending a very dangerous and wrong message. It's telling the Oromo that we are not even allowed to mourn one of the most beloved young men whose life was cut short. We need to be allowed to express what this situation means to us. We need to be able to, because people are really wondering, can the Oromo belong here? Do they have a right here to just exist, to mourn? Haj Alu's family was attacked while they're in mourning. His friends and family are attacked. The Oromo youth are attacked. And this is a very, very dangerous situation. And the government really needs to back off.
Brazil deploys army to help protect indigenous people. Brazil's coronavirus death toll has passed 60,000 and the infection rate continues to climb. As the pandemic rages, indigenous people in the Amazon are especially at risk. Their communities are already under pressure from illegal mining and logging. Now they fear the pandemic could be the biggest threat yet. Well, Al Jazeera's Teresa Bo reports.
A military operation to assist indigenous communities in the state of Roraima, close to the border between Brazil and Venezuela. These are members of the Yanomami indigenous community. Members of the military say they have come here to help fight COVID-19. Elian Gomez is coordinating the operation. She says the risks are enormous.
They go down the river, they go for a walk. It depends on the area. One might be closer to the city. They go up the river and then infect others who weren't infected before. There are various focal points.
But many do not trust local authorities.
Just like with society, they're afraid. It's an unknown virus for them, for us too. Many prefer to isolate themselves, not having any contact, not even with health workers, as a form of prevention. So we see that they're afraid.
Members of the military have been conducting tests and providing supplies like alcohol and gloves. They're also using chloroquine, a drug used to treat malaria, which President Jair Bolsonaro and Donald Trump have been recommending to treat COVID-19, despite warnings by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. Indigenous leader Sonia Guajajara says using this drug is a mistake.
I think it's crazy because there's no proof that chloroquine is the drug to fight COVID-19. This distribution is the responsibility and the risk of the government. Nothing proves that this will cure them. It could even increase the risk even more.
In the 1960s, thousands of members of the Yanomami indigenous community died of measles, and now many fear COVID-19 could provoke a similar outcome. This area is under threat by illegal miners and loggers, and there are fears they could bring the virus to the region. President Jair Bolsonaro, who initially dismissed COVID-19 as a little flu, is facing criticism for his handling of the pandemic. Brazil has the second highest number of coronavirus cases in the world, and with thousands of cases being reported in the indigenous communities, their leaders fear their survival is at risk. Teresa Bo, Al Jazeera.
Wales keeps strict lockdown measures as England reopens. While England wrestles with new lockdown measures, COVID-19 infection and death rates are much lower in Scotland and Wales. With pubs and restaurants set to reopen across England this weekend, Wales says its harsher restrictions will remain in place because they are working. Al Jazeera's Lawrence Lee reports from South Wales.
The border between England and Wales, the bridge over the River Severn. Cross it and move to a different country inside the United Kingdom, and it is genuinely striking how different rules seem to have led to different outcomes. Because while the infection and death rates in England are refusing to go away, in Wales they are now close to zero.
We have to remember that coronavirus significantly disproportionately affects the elderly, and the mortality rate sadly in that age group is higher. Therefore we do expect to see cases, but I do like to see we go down to zero cases very soon.
By the time the virus was at large in England, Wales had begun preparing. The 2-metre rule, which is being dropped in England from this weekend, remains in force here. It's also been forbidden for months for anyone to travel more than 5 miles from home. While London is full of traffic again, this is the centre of the Welsh capital, Cardiff, outside the government offices.
Part of this clearly is about the rules, another part acceptance of them and people's behaviour. In Wales and indeed in Scotland, where the daily death rate is now effectively zero, people seem to be much more willing to abide by the lockdown than they were in England.
That was most visible in the recent heat wave, which saw unpoliceable numbers of people descend on the south coast of England. The beautiful beaches of South Wales, by contrast, have seen very little of the kind. Selina runs a company here which helps rent holiday cottages. The lockdown has almost destroyed her business, but she still supports what her government has done. She's more worried about English people coming over the summer and breaking the rules in Wales.
Ideally, if they could put signs over the M4, roadworks ahead, but remember we are 2 metres distancing as they're driving into Wales, anything like that, I think, to help the visitors understand that we are operating on a different law.
Governments are being judged over their response. Boris Johnson's is not being seen as being on top of things. In Wales, you can hardly find anyone with a bad word to say about their First Minister.
It's about messaging. My message in Wales is always about doing this carefully, about doing it cautiously, about taking one step at a time, never forgetting the coronavirus is here and could come back. Whereas the messaging across our border has sometimes been led by a sense to a wish to sort of say to people, it is all over, you can do what you like. And I just don't think that messaging is sensible at all.
Only next week will Wales begin to allow English people to cross the border into their country, and if things get worse in England, it might not sustain. And there's nothing Boris Johnson can do about it. The virus is leading to reputations being made and being broken. Lawrence Lee, Al Jazeera, in South Wales.
And before we end the news, a quick recap of our main headlines. His Excellency President Adama Barrow, in consultation with the Ministerial Subcommittee on COVID-19 and based on the advice given by the health experts, Committee of the Ministry of Health has decided to extend the state of public emergency in the Gambia. The Chief of Defense Staff, CDS Major General Yakuba Eid Rame, has said that the Commander-in-Chief, President Adama Barrow, is very much passionate and committed to the cause of the Gambia Armed Force. The Gambia Chamber of Commerce and Industry had on Wednesday given $50,000 that was shared amongst some Gambian artists through the National Center for Arts and Culture in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Star TV went to some schools to see how they are operating considering the social distancing and self-protective measures put in place. Schools had been closed for almost 3 months in an attempt to prevent the spread of COVID-19. Now that it's open to the grade 9 students, the school authorities are implementing all the measures put in place, but some of the students have difficulty wearing the mask for a long time due to the nature of the mask. The Inspector General of Police on Thursday presided over the inaugural ceremony of the Busumbala Police Station. This newly inaugurated police station is meant to mitigate crimes within Busumbala and its surrounding communities. Ethiopia's military has been deployed to the capital Addis Ababa on the second day of unrest triggered by the murder of a popular singer-activist. Hakola Hudesa was a symbol for his Oroma ethnic group, and his songs were the soundtrack to the protests that propelled Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed into power. Brazil's coronavirus death toll has passed 60,000 and the infection rate continues to climb. As the pandemic rages, indigenous people in the Amazon are especially at risk. Their communities are already under pressure from illegal mining and logging. While England wrestles with new lockdown measures, COVID-19 infection and death rates are much lower in Scotland and Wales. With pubs and restaurants set to reopen across England this weekend, Wales says its harsher restrictions will remain in place because they are working. Well, that's all for this edition of the news. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Thanks for watching. It's bye for now.